Hi, everyone, and welcome to Book Club with Bae. I am Bae, and this is Bae. Say hi, Bae.
Hi, Bae.
And today we are talking about Bitter Blood, the 13th
No,
book.
it is the 13th.
13th book in the Morganville Vampire series, and it was an acid trip.
This one actually had
sorry.
Plot. This one actually had stuff happening.
That doesn't make it less of an acid trip, okay? Like, here's the thing. Here's where I'm at. I don't even know how to give it a rating because it's not that I'm not enjoying myself, but you know how, like, as you get to, like, season 6 of the Vampire Diaries,
and you're so much more.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm enjoying myself, but I feel like we should have found a good way to wrap this up like 3 books ago. Because it's just unraveling and it's just becoming like a thing.
I cannot wait until we get to, I think the last book's called Daylighters. I can't wait till we get to that.
Like, you know,
there is this one scene, and I can tell you the thing in the scene that you were just gonna be like, why has this not ended already? It's the Here Comes the Sun scene.
Oh, good.
And that's what I'm gonna tell you.
Because so I was watching Jenny Nicholson's video on the Vampire Diaries. It's a really funny video, and she, one of the things she says in it is like, it's so funny if you haven't seen the later seasons of the show to just put on one of the episodes and just watch the recap without context, because without context, it's just word vomit. And it's so true because spoilers for the Vampire Diaries, suddenly they're like the sirens, the this, the that. And you're like, the what? You're like, the what? You're like, where's the moonstone? And that's kind of where we're at. Like, we're at the point where we are so off the deep end.
Yeah.
That you're like, you feel like you're jumping headfirst into season 10 of a TV show that should have ended 3 years ago. Like, that's where we're at. Yeah, which, honestly, it does have great season 10 energy. It's delivering great season 10 energy and great what the fuck are we doing energy. But it's
yeah, I mean, like, now that I'm thinking of it, right? Like, one show that dealt with introducing a lot of new lore without everything becoming so overtaking and overlapping and this and that was Buffy. Like, Buffy was around for 7 years. And yeah, a lot of it was vampires and stuff. But like, one season, the big bad is a god. Another one, it's literally a cyborg. Like a robot demon hybrid. There's the first evil. There's this. There's that. But nothing gets, like, the information doesn't get too overwhelming where you're like, what the fuck is a what? Like even if you're watching it, right, you're binge watching all the Vampire Diaries, they'll throw back to something that happened like even half a season ago sometimes. But so much has been introduced since then that you're like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, and I think also another series that avoids this is Mercy, because Mercy functions very serialistically, like, here's baddie of the week. And the only time that Mercy has started to feel like, what the fuck are we doing, you guys, is when we have now been, I guess because everything's supposed to be coming to a close, but we've now been stuck on the Hardesty Witches for like 4 books. And it's like, of all the big bads,
are we done?
Like, it couldn't have thrown in like Dracula, you know?
Buffy actually did Dracula one episode.
Here's, you know what, another thing Jenny says in that video, and I completely fucking agree, is that any series where you have vampires, you are obligated to give me a Dracula, and I completely fucking agree with that. Give me a Dracula. I demand it. Give me Dracula or give me death. Like, we're here. Don't pretend like you're above it. You gave me Rumpelstiltskin. You've given me Baba Yaga. You've given me Beowulf. I want Dracula. Like, where the fuck is my Dracula? Why is Dracula not the big bad?
And like, Morganville has given us Oliver Cromwell and Lady Lovelace, but no Dracula.
Here's the thing. I just want everybody's interpretation on Dracula. Okay, I want I don't care if he's like a drag queen for no reason. I don't care if he is like an evil Vlad the Impaler thing. I don't give a shit. Give me Dracula. I don't care if he's secretly. I don't care if he's secretly a 10-year-old stuck in time. Like, give me Dracula. Because why not? You know, like why not? And
he's the ultimate vampire.
He is. I don't know. Like, I guess Bonerata is supposed to be Dracula, but he's not. He's Bonerata. It's not the same. Give me Dracula. But I'm sorry. I'm tired of the Hardesty Witches. I don't want to read another book about them. Like, I don't.
Well, how did the last one wrap up? Like, what actually happened?
What
happened at the end of the Alpha Omega book?
It was like, as far as the Hardesties go, it was more like ...
Okay.
Like, we didn't get rid of them. They're still around.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, we're weakening them. So it's like, can they go away now? We've weakened them sufficiently, really. They can just kind of...
Well, I think the next Mercy book is currently slated to be the last. Because she had a thing for 10, and then it got extended by 3 books. So unless it's been extended again.
So Soul Taken will be the next.
Potentially the last.
So it says... Mercy Thompson, car mechanic and shapeshifter, must face her greatest fears in this chilling entry. And okay. The vampire wolf is missing since he's deadly, possibly insane. Its current idea of fun is stalking Mercy. Some may see it as no great loss, but when he disappears, Tri-City's pack is blamed. Okay, so Mercy goes out. Huh?
That could be fun.
That could be fun.
Because Wolf is like one of my favorite characters.
Oh, as Mercy investigates, she learns of the legend of the harvester who travels by less trodden paths and reaps souls that are ripe. Oh my God, are we gonna get the Grim Reaper?
Yes.
Oh my God, please give me the Grim Reaper.
I know, but March.
It's fine. Give me the Grim Reaper, though. I want to talk about the Grim Reaper. That's, you know what? Grim Reaper, Dracula. I'm here for it.
I'm down with Grim Reaper as long as it is, as long as he's not dating a banshee. Because as soon as he starts dating a banshee, he gets cocked, and I'm not okay.
But yeah, let's talk about the Grim Reaper. I'm here for it. Oh my God, yes. That's so campy. I love it. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I like the old school camp stuff because it's so stupid and it's fun. And like, and by stupid,
that's one thing with.
Also, by stupid, I don't mean bad. I mean like, it is shamelessly dumb fun, which makes it so better than like, because here's the thing, when you're doing like a fantasy series, taking yourself too seriously is just like, nah, you know, like give me dumb fun.
Well, one of the things about the Mercy series as well is it's just really fun that she manages to tie in real mythology and actually like, you know, looks into it and does it in really fun ways.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Mercy. And yet somehow we always do.
Well, anyway, so this book, so just because it's always easier to talk about these things this way, we sort of touched on this last time, but this book, the premise of it is that a TV show has come to Morganville. And we're dealing with that now. So
yep, and there's a mayoral election and vampires are no longer afraid of anything and they're starting to be evil again. So those are the three plots of the book.
Yeah.
and yeah, they kind of culminate all together, but not really. Like, I mean, like and like at the end, like we've still got all the key players, like in that final battle scene, I guess. But yeah, I guess they all resolve separately though. But
yeah, so we can kind of discuss it one by one. I think that might be like the easiest way to do it.
okay, well, I guess we'll do the TV show one first.
Or with the
Or
mayor
election
plot.
one first.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, the election one probably will take less time.
Yep. Okay, so Hannah, as former police chief, is now acting mayor because, like, you know, Richard died last book. Sad. And they're like, well, we need someone. And, like, effectively, like, the status quo in Morganville is your last name Morel? Yes, you get to be mayor. But even Emily was like, Monica, no. No. So the police chief. Also, I don't buy that Morganville is big enough to have I don't buy that it's incorporated. I don't buy that they have a police department.
Well, perhaps
They
the
have a sheriff's
vampires.
office.
Perhaps the vampires incorporated it. I don't know.
They have a sheriff's office.
For those of you who are perhaps like international or something, so in the United States, police offices are for cities, and then sheriff's offices are for counties. So you'll have like DeKalb County sheriffs, the Atlanta department, like police departments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they have different jurisdictions. So like if you are, and you know this if you live in the fucking boonies, because if you've ever had to deal with just like saying anything to cops in the boonies, like you'll talk to somebody and they'll be like, oh, sorry, you're 5 feet across from this line. You're not in my jurisdiction. You have to call 5 other people. And you're like, fucking Christ. It's like it's a rigmarole. Sorry.
Yeah, so like I believe that like LA County has a sheriff's office, and then but then there's also the LAPD, and LAPD covers LA proper, and then the sheriff's office covers everything outside that.
Yeah, but not everything is in So the LA County just covers LA, all of the county.
And the county's pretty big. I know that.
And the county's pretty big. Hey, Pat, how's it going? And not everything in the county is actually like incorporated into a city. Or like it might be, I don't know actually all the details of LA County, but like I know where I grew up. We had a police department. The police department was 5 minutes from my house, but I did not live in the city limits. So the police department 5 minutes from my house was no good to me. That's not where if cops came to our house, it was always deputies, not officers, because there were sheriff's deputies, not police officers, because it was the county that dealt with us, not the people 5 minutes. It's a fucking thing, okay?
Yeah. Whereas here we have the Australian Federal Police. They obviously deal with federal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is just each state has their own police. So, and so there's the New South Wales police, and that's it.
Yeah. You also have and
there's different branches.
Well, that's the other thing too, is we do also have state troopers.
Yeah. So
I'm not going to give my opinion on the Georgia State troopers. I'm going to shut up.
Our New South Wales police are effectively state troopers crossed with the police, crossed with the sheriff's office. They do the lot. And I imagine the state troopers and the highway patrol have a lot in common.
Yeah. That's, as far as I know, that's mostly what state troopers do, and they're really
and I will say that I believe that without knowing what you were going to say, I feel like I know what you were going to say, and opinions are mostly the same.
Yeah, no, honestly, if you here's the thing, if you're on an interstate in Georgia and you get stopped by a troop, you're having a bad day. Like, that's just it's a bad day all around. Like, nothing good has ever come of that. It is much better to get stopped by a normal cop than a trooper.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that both different setups have their pros, but I do think they also both have their cons. One of the cons, for example, what you mentioned before, the fact that you lived 5 minutes from the police department and they were no good to you.
I also like it was a police and fire department, and I believe I don't remember actually if that is the fire department that was also in charge of us. I'm not sure, because if it wasn't, then that was also stupid.
Yeah, so we also have two different like types of firefighters. We have I think it's the Royal Fire Service, which is like, I think they do like house fires and rescuing the kittens from the trees, and like rescue if someone's like trapped in a car, they'll come and, you know, get them out or whatever. And then there's maybe that's the other one. I can't remember which one's which, but there's one that does that, and then there's the one that deals with the bushfires, and that's mostly volunteers.
Yeah.
You won't get the normal fire brigade going anywhere near the bushfires, because that's the recipe for disaster. They have no idea what to do in it. Well, some of them would, but majority of them, they're trained to deal with house fires. Bushfires are a whole other kettle of fish. Because for those of you who don't know, our native fauna literally evolved to explode upon being coming into contact with flame, and that's how they actually breed. So our bush is designed to literally explode. It's a mess.
And then what did we do? Plan all that in California.
Yes. Yep. Yes, you did. Because that's how, I mean, of course, we were settled by petty thieves, and we sold the US a bunch of shit. Like, yeah, these trees are awesome. Take them. You'll love them. Pay us.
We're paying for it. Don't you worry.
And California just learned its lesson. But I will say one thing that eucalyptus is good for, though, is it's really good for clearing up swamplands, for drying them out. Apparently, somewhere in I think somewhere in Israel, maybe. I could be wrong. There was like marshlands or swamplands or something, so they planted a bunch of eucalyptus trees, and they sucked all the water out of the ground, and because it evaporates pretty quickly through their leaves, like much quicker than other trees. And now that land is good to actually use. So if you have a swamp you ever want cleared out, plant some eucalyptus trees and then cut them down before they explode. Because we also have koalas to help keep, to like minimize as much as possible the explosions. You guys don't have koalas.
No, we do not.
And I don't know how we have koalas, because those fuckers are so stupid. They're so stupid.
And also they will, and the thing is that you can't even move them like 5 feet, because if you move them 5 feet, they're like, I don't know this tree. I've never met them in my life.
Yeah, no, if you rehome a koala, you have to bring trees from the area in which it was born to it for the rest of its life. It will not eat anything else. And you can't put the leaf down. You can't hold it in your hand. You have to hold the branch. If they only know how to eat off of a branch, they can't pick a leaf up off the ground.
Koalas or pandas have evolved to be like so specific. They're so specific.
I will say that my daughter loves. I don't know if you guys have it. Do you get on Netflix? There is a show called Izzy's Koala World. It's like about like this teenage girl or something, and her mum is a vet, and they live on an island off the coast of Australia.
Know. So the thing is, I don't have kids,
koalas,
so I don't know.
Well, you should. I will say season 2 is actually pretty cute, because they've got some baby koalas that they're rescuing, and like some of the we're not talking the jelly bean babies, but koalas are born the equivalent of like the beginning of the second trimester, if not earlier.
Right, because they're marsupials, right?
Yeah, and then they finish incubating in the pouch. So when I say baby koala, I'm talking like when it's fuzzy and looks like what a newborn koala would look like if koalas were normal animals, but they're not. So yeah, I'm not talking jelly bean koalas. I'm talking like fluffy baby koalas, and they're cute, and daughter loves it. Now she's asked me though, like, can we have a pet koala? I'm like, no, we can't have a pet koala. And she's like, why? I'm like, because you can't have pet koalas. And she's like, but Izzy has pet koalas. I'm like, no, Izzy's mum is a vet, and they rescue koalas for a little while, and then they let them go. And Izzy has to ride her bike around an entire island every week to try and find leaf for the koalas because they don't know what they eat. Because it's just not this.
How do koalas feed their babies?
They've got teats inside the pouch.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But it's gross. The pouch is like literally same with kangaroos, right? Like when you think of like a kangaroo pouch or a koala pouch or something, like I'm sure you imagine on the inside it's just like, you know, fluffy like on the outside.
No.
It's not. It's like a gashed open wound type thing, not bleeding or anything, but it's like it's literally an external uterus.
Yeah, like it's weird.
With boobs.
Marsupial pouches are fucking weird.
They're gross.
It's not like, look, Kanga and Rue like give you some adorable images of what the pouches look like. They don't look like that.
No.
I mean, but honestly, like, keep thinking of it that way. It's fine.
Yeah, don't Google it. Don't traumatize yourself.
Anyway, book, because I do have to. I have to
Election
leave.
plug.
I need to be ready to like leave at 10.
What time is it now?
It's 8. It's fine.
Excellent. Okay.
Election plug.
So,
we need to just watch our. We just need to watch our sidetrackiness.
Apparently, they eat their mum's poo. I'm not surprised. Sorry. So Hannah is doing a mayor thing, and then she gets told, "You can't be mayor no more. We must do an election." And they're like, "Okay." And then Claire, for some reason, I think because Claire's like, "Shit's gone weird. I guess we need to try and get someone that'll stand up to the vampy vamps." I know. Let's pick the biggest vamp suck up ever. Let's get Monica elected. Like that. It's still. I honestly feel like she's like, "How do I do this? Because I want to make the jokes." I feel like it was
honestly the Monica thing didn't make sense to me. I was like,
this is like the 4th time I've read this book, and the reasoning behind putting Monica's name in the hat still doesn't make sense. I don't know, but Claire and Shane decide that Monica is going to run for mayor. Monica's in, and Shane makes posters, and they're like, also, wow, throwback, photo bucket account.
Right? Do you guys remember Photo Bucket?
I didn't until they mentioned it. And I was like, oh, that's right. That was a thing.
What a time to be alive.
Oh, honestly, like sometimes I have great nostalgia for like my high school era internet, and then other times I'm just like, how did we not all like get completely hacked and axe murdered? Like I don't know. It was a time. But yeah, so Shane like has like passed out, hung over Monica and all this and that. And also I don't buy that Monica would ever have her half passed out on her photo bucket. She wouldn't ever.
No, I don't buy that either.
She wouldn't even have those photos saved on her computer in a private album.
Yeah, Monica's not that kind of person.
No, but here we are. So, half the town.
But also, I love that. Like, hold on, real quick.
Yeah.
The fact that like that's an era where like photos of you half passed out are scandalous.
Yeah.
What an era. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, Monica like passed out for unknown reasons. Oh my god. And
well,
it's like
we've just exited the we're just entering the digital camera era, right?
I know, but it's so funny because now
So you can have frivolous photos.
Like, all right, this is about to be very un-YouTube friendly. I'm really sorry. But we all know that now for something to be scandalous, it has to be somebody like passed out with like a dildo in a specific place with 10 other people around, and like, you know what I mean? Like the standard for scandal is like way up here, because now if you have like a photo, even like a sex, it's like instead of everybody getting mad at you for doing the thing, everybody's like, why would you share that to like the person who like leaked it? So, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying we've come a long way. But I just think it's funny, like looking
now the
back.
Monica Morells of the world can pass out in peace, knowing their lives will not be ruined.
I'm just saying, like, what a time, you know? Like, what a time when that was scandalous.
I know, right? Honestly, there was so much about this that was like one thing. Like, that's one thing I love about these books. Like, you know exactly when they were written.
Right. Yeah. Because, and it's not that like that wasn't, and by the way, if you're younger and you're watching this, it's not that that wasn't scandalous at the time. It totally was. Like, that would have absolutely been scandalous. I'm just saying, like, you're lucky that it's not scandalous anymore, because nobody cares now. Nobody gives a shit. And I think it's because I think it's because after like all this time, everybody's been like, oh, yeah, that could happen to me. Because like I've been passed out at a party before.
Because again, like, I mean, the mainstreaming of the digital camera, because I had access to a digital camera. Not to brag, but I had access to a digital camera long before people did. Like, because I can remember one camping trip, my dad bought a couple digital cameras from work. He borrowed them from work, and it made sense for him to have them at work because he worked in a prison and they have to take a lot of photos in prison. Those ones were so. I'll give you a good indication as to what era these belonged in. They were huge, right? They were like this big. And they didn't have a memory card. They didn't have a USB. They didn't have... Do you want to know what they used to store the photos? Okay. Floppy disks. You inserted a floppy disk into the camera. Like, this is the era of, like, but these books were written in the era of, you know, memory carded digital cameras, when they were actually starting to become more affordable. At least one person in every friend group, probably two at least, but at least one person in every friend group had a digital camera by this point. So photos weren't precious that you had to save, because like you only get like 23 shots per roll of film. Like you could take as many photos as you wanted and it was fine. So everyone got to waste clicks on stupid shit like Monica passed out at a party.
Right. I mean, and now we'll take pictures of the dumbest shit. Like, you know, I have a whole Instagram dedicated to my nails, which like, you know, 20 years ago, it's like you're taking photos of your what?
Yeah, and you can, and then it's like, I mean, I don't really take many photos at all. I probably should take more. I'm not talking of me, I'm talking mostly of my kids. Like, I do take photos of my kids, just not as often as I feel like I should. But you can take, like, but with selfies and stuff, like, it used to be, like, you couldn't, there was no viewfinder, you know, you just had to guess that you were
You just had to know. Like, yeah, I know. I remember when I got my first
and then
phone.
and then wait. But like with film cameras, then you had to wait like 2 weeks to go and like to take the film in, and then you had to wait a few days to get it back, and then hopefully the photo would be okay.
Well, even like once we got like cell phone cameras, you know, because they were not front facing cameras. So you were always like, so taking selfies, and like, I will just remind you all, the era of selfies, the initial era of selfies was us like taking a million photos because you could not see what the fuck you were doing.
Yeah, so it'd be like, let's clear. Yeah. So like, stop turning on screen. So it'd be like that, right? try to guess and then flip around and then back and then forth and then back and forth and hope. When I was in high school though, my mum got the best digital camera. At the top of it rotated, so you could see
what you were doing.
My camera was the selfie camera because you could flip it around and see the screen. But also, never did I think that for most people, cameras would become obsolete.
Isn't that funny? Like most people don't have.
Yeah,
like
aside
an
from
actual camera.
Yeah, aside from like a few of my family members who are photographers and stuff, no one I know has also old people like 69. She's still got a camera.
Well, like unless you need one for something.
Yeah, I think she's using her camera less now because I gave her an iPhone because we had a spare iPhone around the house. So I'm like, have this so the kids can FaceTime you. So I think she'll be using her camera less and less. But I think she's the only person I know that has just a normal digital camera. That is
it's like I will say this: the cameras that we have that my dad uses for work and stuff, they're not just like cutesy digital cameras like for fun. They're like cameras.
DSLRs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a DSLR and I just never used it. I got rid of it and I still regret getting rid of it because I don't want to buy a new one. They're so expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I've got a DSLR.
They're so expensive. But Morganville. But Captain Obvious is running. No one knows who Captain Obvious is. I also like just a little side thing of where she's like, "Oh, Eve, you could be the new Captain Obvious," and it's just like, "Lol." If only you knew the future plot of this book. But yeah, so Captain Obvious is also running for mayor, and there's this little old lady, Mrs. What's the last name? Ramos.
I think so.
Yes. And so election day comes, people are like, "Yay, Captain Obvious," and then Emily's like, "No, we're not going to have some faceless dipshit be the mayor. Mrs. Ramos, you get to be mayor," and she's like, "Okay." And Monica's upset that she's not mayor, and that's the election storyline.
There you go.
What was the other one?
There's the TV show.
The TV show, yes.
There's the TV show, and then there's Mean Vampires, which also Mean Vampires, like what's new?
Yeah. So do you want to do the TV show thing?
Okay.
Also Miranda is now the house ghost, and before we get into TV show shit, I think we should also just discuss that the rules for Miranda are like the rules for Claire were different than Michael's. The rules for Miranda are also different.
Right. So the TV show, by the way, like I was actually expecting it to be like a vampire. It's not a vampire TV show. It's like a ghost TV show. It's a Ghost Hunters TV show. So now you have like a whole TV show, a whole camera crew basically snooping around Morganville looking for ghosts in the midst of an election, and also the vampires being naughty again. Which is
and weird ghost activity is occurring through this as well.
Yeah.
Like Shane's dead sister starts talking to him, and she doesn't like Claire.
Right. So I forget, how does it start?
Claire's talking to Monica, and then they see some new car. Monica's like, "Oh, they're new in town because of the type of car, etc., etc." Some guy gets out, and him and Monica like eye bang on the street for about 10 minutes. And he's like, "Hi, my name's Angel. I'm here to do a showy show. We're hunting ghosts."
And also to which everybody's like, "Oh my God, no!" Like, not anywhere but in a town where like it's actually supernatural.
Then they rock up at the dilapidated lot where Shane's house once stood, and they're like, "We sense ghost activity." And the chick, because so there's the two hosts and their camera guy. There's what's her name again? Janice.
Yeah, Janet, I think.
We'll call her Janet.
I was in like a
Janice.
fever dream when I read this, so I apologize. I don't really remember names. Janice,
I think it might be Janice. We're just gonna call her Janice.
Let me
so
see.
There's Janet. Oh, actually, I think I've got the ebook. Do you want me to have a look?
Yeah.
She, regardless of her name, she is a true believer. And we find out later, her twin sister died or something and attached to her, and she ended up having to banish her sister because she turned like evil. Whereas it looks like Angel is more or less just like, hey, it's a job, it pays me money. And
yeah.
The camera guy is kind of he's the camera guy. That's what he does. He's the camera guy.
But also, again, everybody's a bit wigged out, which is understandable.
Yes.
Because, like if a ghost hunter show comes here, it's annoying. It blocks off traffic, but like nobody's worried about it exposing the secret. At least as far as I fucking know. Nobody's worried about it exposing. And as far as I know, nobody's worried about it exposing the secret underbelly of vampires. But like, obviously, if you have an actual secret underbelly of vampires, you can see how there being a ghost hunting show where like people actually believe in ghosts. You can see how that might be a problem.
Yes.
And
I can't find it. Give me a second. What's the name of its book again? Bitter Blood.
Bitter Blood.
She seems to really want to try and so Miranda is like, no one wants me here because Michael straight up says that I don't want you here because of his own issues, which kind of a dick move. And like she yeets from the house and like kind of disintegrates, and they're like, crap, Miranda's dead. But she's not. Because her rules are different, and we think it's because she was a psychic in advance. She's no longer psychic, but like her special powers have kind of protected her in terms of stuff. So they give her, she's got a little bit of extra skill. And she's communicating with chick ghost hunter whose name I am about to find. If I can find where it just went. There it went. And yeah, so she's having, and then the ghost hunters follow Miranda home, but all the ghosts are chasing Miranda as well. And then Miranda ends up revealing herself to the ghost hunters as a ghost. I don't know why. I think it was more or less to scare him into leaving.
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, Miranda's a ghost and not a vampire, so like it's less damaging than it could have been, but still.
Yeah. But then Jason rocks up.
Yeah.
And Jason's a vamp now. And him and his friends take Angel, and they're like, well, we got lunch, bye. And they eat Angel. And okay, that's right. That's what I'm doing. I'm looking up this chick's name.
Watch her name be like Rebecca.
I swear it's either Janet or Janice. I swear. Maybe not. Wait, let's go to where are we? Jenna. It's Jenna.
Okay.
Which I should have remembered because it's kind of implied by the end of this, but she more or less becomes like an aunt figure for Miranda. So she's Aunt Jenna. But she's ultimately, Miranda is attracting ghosts. They're trying to suck the energy from her to become more real, but then also if they get too close to Jenna, they also become more real, but they also become more evil, so that they need to block the ghosts out. Jenna keeps them away from Miranda. It's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at this point, there is more to that storyline, but it won't make sense unless we discuss the other stuff, because that happens in the showdown with this stuff.
Right. So
Emily and Oliver are boinking, and it's gross. Like they're literally boinking, and it's gross. Vernon's like, I can't watch this happen. I'm yeeting, and he actually does plan to yeet, but then he goes MIA before he gets to yeet. Claire's like, Emily's changed it, so humans have to carry around a town identification, which includes their blood type, and vampires get like special privilege cards, which is like, hey, so yeah, you can eat whoever you want, but if they're protected, you kind of just have to like pay their protector a fine.
yeah.
Have fun, guys. And everyone's like, well, this ain't good. And yeah, Mernon's like, this ain't good. He goes to get oh, that's right. Penny Feather is in this too.
Yeah.
Penny Feather, turns out Penny Feather throws Mernon in an oubliette. Actually, in the short stories book, we get to chill out, because you know how Mernon says he's been in an oubliette before. In the short stories book, we're with him in the oubliette. This book was actually one thing that I'm curious to see what you thought about was we were in Mernon's head, this book.
Yeah.
I think it was just that one scene though, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like I still don't like it.
But it gave us my favorite line of the book.
Yes.
I will say that.
Did.
One should never create tension between one's footwear. like this is the kind of person Mernon is, because he has his like Monty Python bunny slippers, and he pats one and says it'll be okay, and then he did the same to the other so it wouldn't feel left out, and then he followed it up with, one should never create tension between one's footwear.
Which was I'm not saying it's not amusing. I'm just saying, like, I think that the structure of the book suffer for what's being done with like the perspectives and stuff like that. Yeah. That's all. Like, because the problem is that like these books are fairly short, and like it's hard to really give any one character a lot of time and space when you're head hopping this much. Like, I mean, not that.
I mean, like one thing,
not that these books are really big on character development anyway.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do try and think about, like in House of Night, right? There's some things that we know definitely didn't need to be seen from whatever perspectives. We know that there are some things that would have been better if we discovered with Zoe or whatnot. And then there's other things that I'm like, I'm not sure how, like, you know, the whole Stevie Ray Refame Bondi thing and everything. I'm not sure how that would have been able to occur off page and have that make sense to us. In this one, I'm kind of just like, for the most part, I'm like, I don't know if the perspectives were relevant or helpful, but I also don't know if they weren't. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, it's such a big paradigm shift that, like, you know, like, for example, like in Silence Fallen, I guess, and even in the Seventh Mercy book, where we have occasionally spoken to Adam when they're separated,
That makes sense.
It makes sense because there are like actual things happening that like we need to see happening.
Yeah.
From Not Mercy's perspective, just because she's not there, and they are plot relevant.
And series relevant.
And series relevant, yeah. So that works. And the thing is, like, but the thing is also, like, when that's happening, they're both separated and they cannot speak to each other. So,
and then once they're reunited with Mercy.
Right. So the only time that it's done there is when Adam cannot just call Mercy and say, here's what's up. And then she can't tell us, here's what Adam said, what's up. Because anytime that happens, when somebody goes off and does something, we get a brief little blah, 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 said blah, 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 and then blah, 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 blah. So, like,
yeah.
It's like that only happens when we're in a very specific situation where Adam cannot relay information to us in a timely manner. Because once Adam and Mercy meet up, it would have been a whole thing for Adam to be like, and here's what happened, and here's a speech. Like, it could have been done that way, but that would have been weird.
Well, because then she would have had to fit like 5 chapters of plot, because there's a really Mercy books don't have a lot of chapters, but the chapters are really long. Mm-hmm. So she would have had to spend 5 chapters of Adam recounting what happened instead of just us being with Adam as it happened.
Right. So like there is that where it's more because Adam literally can't tell Mercy what's going on. So the only reason why we're being told is because Mercy is going to know, first of all, and then also because it makes more sense for us to the audience to receive this information this way. But also, again, Mercy is going to know all this information. So that's why it's being piecemealed to us this way. So, like, that perspective change makes sense. I think that that's kind of like what it is in a book like this, where you start off with like such a limited perspective.
I do think that this book would have been fine if it had all been. Sorry, I just dropped something. If we'd been with just Claire the whole time.
Yeah,
what I do think though is the explanations would have been shorter. We would have been fine with that, but the book would have been a lot shorter because she would have been like, well, we can't really have everything that's explained, or shown in the other points of view, explained to Claire, like laid out. Because I feel like it might have been I don't know how relevant it was for us to know from pretty early on that Naomi was manipulating Oliver, or controlling Oliver,
right?
Who was in turn manipulating Emily. And then there was the thing with Michael. How that could have been done was Claire could have gone with Michael instead of Shane, maybe.
Right.
And then it still played out we weren't, and then Michael was fine when he went in and he came out weird and did what he did. Or Shane still could have gone with him and then relayed when they got back. When Michael just walks in and be like, what happened? Oh, we went there. This happened. I got kicked out of the room. And he's been weird ever since. But I guess it does take the mystery out of what the hell is going on when not as bad as House of Night. Nowhere near as bad as House of Night, but it does take some of the mystery out.
Well, another thing I guess that's a little jarring is that there's not a whole lot of selectivity about whose head we're in, right? So and this becomes a problem in House of Night. It doesn't start off that way, but it becomes a big problem in House of Night, and it becomes a problem here too. But like, with Mercy, we're just in Adam's head,
I feel like this book, it was, she tightened it up for this book. Last book was a lot more chaotic, as
right,
regarding the heads.
But it's like, if you're gonna do it, you need to pick like somebody, like even Blackwoods, where we head hop a lot, we still pick people that like, yeah, you might see them a lot, but you're never in their head directly, or it takes 3 books for us to actually get into their head, because we're just like slowly building up who is going to be a more major character, like, and stuff like that as the books go on. And that takes time to expand that kind of thing. It's hard to dive into that like straight on because it's a lot. So like, I will say that's another thing that's just kind of weirdly jarring about it, right? Because you're comfy in Claire headspace, but then it's like, here are 10 other characters, and it's like, but why?
Like, I think from memory, next book it's only Claire and Shane, and I don't think you'll mind it.
Yeah, because the other thing is that, like, realistically, written this way is how like a TV show would play out. It's how a movie might play out.
But it's not a TV show, it's a book.
But it's a book. And in books, if you're following one character, like, like that, I mean, that's one thing about Blackwoods, is it's written a bit more like a movie or like a TV show as far as how we follow characters along. Because we're not really tied to a specific character. And we intentionally wrote it that way from the get-go. But when you have a book that's written just like a book, and then you're like, here's TV show setup, you're like, bitch, what?
Yeah.
Like, why?
When did this occur?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess ultimately with that storyline is Naomi, who didn't die last book because the drug pulled the dagger out. She's cranky. Oh, by the way, it's been a few months since that whole thing happened. Claire's now 18. She's bit because she's Bishop's blood child, so she can control vampires after she bites them. So she's bitten Oliver, who is using his special gifts to persuade Emily to do stuff, which she's more inclined to listen to because they're boinking, which, and so yeah, a tougher regime is occurring. She's also like taken over. Like Hannah Moses is Captain Obvious, by the way. She's controlling Hannah. She's controlling other people, all to ultimately overthrow Emily. She bites Michael and makes him break up with Eve, who he's married to, and then
married.
Yeah, and then to isolate Claire, she tells him to make out with Claire in front of his wife and best friend, who is Claire's boyfriend. So he does. And then he leaves, and because Eve is in hospital because she's had this ever-loving shit kicked out of her. And this is where he does it. And Shane's like, what the fuck? And Claire's like, I don't know what just happened. And Shane doesn't believe her. And you'll be happy to know there's consequences. Like she actually does, like, there's hints of consequences at the end when it all comes out that Michael had been mind fucked and wasn't in control of himself, and that nothing actually had happened between Michael and Claire. Shane's like, I'm sorry, Claire, do you forgive me? And she's like, no, I don't. I told you nothing happened. You didn't believe me. I don't forgive you. She still loves him. They're still together, but she doesn't forgive him yet. So their relationship's a little bit rocky by the end of the book, but ultimately, Naomi tries to do her takeover thing, and
but honestly, like that rockiness is justifiable because
yes, no, and those consequences carry over into next book.
Because honestly, like, bitch.
Like, it's just like I've literally never done anything to make you not trust me, literally ever. You've done stuff that to hurt me. I've never done anything ever, and you don't believe me. Fuck you.
Which, like, fair.
And to Claire's defense as well, she doesn't pull out what happened in Bike Club, where she was like, "Look, you've been a dick to me before, and I've forgiven you." You know.
Yeah.
She hasn't thrown that. She's like, I don't think once in the series has she ever thrown that in his face.
Yeah.
So like, bless her. But yeah, Naomi tries to do a thing. She stakes Oliver. She stakes Emily. Locks them two and Claire and Shane and Mernon in a cage and is gonna burn them alive. And one thing I did find amusing was like she's pulled the whole town in and she's gonna kill like the mayor, the Monica, and more or less any important human. And she's like, I shall be your new lord, and everyone's just like, no. And she's, I was actually amused when she keeps like she's giving all these grand speeches, and all the vampires are like, you are not the queen that we want, ever. We tried to kill you last book, gladly. Like we drew straws to see who would get to do it. Like. Oh, also Frank dies in this. Like Frank's dead for good.
Yeah.
So is Pet.
Hey, Pet, how's it going?
Hey.
I'm still so red. Oh my god. And by the way, yes, my face is actually this red. I think it's just because I have a fever. Like, but
it doesn't look too red on camera.
It's just.
If that makes you feel better.
Just watch it.
You'll cry. But yeah, ultimately they managed to, like, Emily gets to be badass with Oliver, and they decide to like do a fighty fight. It's unsure as to whether or not things will work out well, and then Emily's just like, enslaved people, be my people again, and they're like, thank you. And then Miranda and Jenna rock up, and they're holding hands, and Miranda's like, by the power vested in us, I command the ghost to attack, and the ghosts attack, and Naomi dies. Emily is queen of Morganville again. And Claire's like, yeah, I want to go to MIT. Okay, bye. And then the book ends.
Huzzah.
Oh wait, Emily's like, no, vampires must be better. We shall be equals with the humans. Anyone who doesn't like that will literally actually get in trouble now, okay? If you start doing naughty stuff, you're going to get in trouble. It's not going to be like, oh, what a shame. Like, no, like, murder is murder. And Claire gets to go to MIT. End book. Huzzah.
Yep.
So, guess where we are next book?
We got an MIT.
Yes. Oh, also in this book, Claire was working on a like a ray gun that affects emotions. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. But it's like, oh, side note, Claire was also just inventing a ray gun. And it's like, yes, you are correct. But like, I don't know how to.
Fine, spoiler for next book. It's a major plot point, okay?
But like, what the fuck?
I just remembered it's a major plot point for next book, so like, maybe we should remember it happened.
No,
do you want to know what she ends up naming it?
It's weird. Okay. Bertrand.
Do you want to know what she ends up naming it? Because you know how she's saying this one, like, what am I going to call this thing? I can't remember what. Actually, you'll probably be pleased.
My guess is Bertrand.
Quite what you want. No, it's not quite what you want, but I feel like it's close enough. Again, I cannot for the life of me remember what the acronym stands for. Okay? But it's FLAD.
Excellent.
It's the vampire something device. I can't remember if Vlad is 1A or 2, so it might be vampire something device. But it's Vlad.
Good.
So it's not quite Dracula, but
look, here's the thing. In my vampire books, I want it acknowledged. Okay, I want it acknowledged. Although looking at the new Mercy book and seeing, seeing that we were probably getting, because it's like, oh, a big thing with the scythe. I'm like, that Grandma Reaper, like. I'm like, you promise? You promise it's gonna be the Grim Reaper? Because the cover is her holding a scythe, and I'm like, please don't. Yeah. It's actually the Grim Reaper. I need it to be the Grim Reaper.
I'm kind of glad that it's just being acknowledged from the get-go, right? Like with Smokebitten, right? From the conversation she has with what's his face?
Rumple?
No.
Oh, sorry. Wolf?
No, the guy from that was in Alpha Omega that killed the senator's son.
Oh, Lou. No,
he's the son of Lou.
Alistair Beauclair.
That's right, that one. From that conversation with him, and then where Baba Yaga just like jumps in on the phone, and she's just like, also, by the way, blah blah blah. I knew who it was from that conversation, but I'm just like, for the rest of the book, I'm just like, it can't be Rumpelstiltskin. Like I ended up not minding it, right? I didn't mind it.
I honestly, I stand. Also, here's the thing.
Like, the delivery of it worked out well.
Wild Sign, I thought, like, looking back at it, Wild Sign is, like, a little weirdly sloppy. I don't know what it is about it. I think it's probably more like the weirded version of the Hard to See Witches.
It's a raping Cthulhu. Like, do you expect that to be delivered well?
Yeah, but I will say them fighting
porn.
And also they do, the way that they fix it is here's the thing. One of my least favorite solutions to problems in books is the Care Bear stare, which is, and I'm sorry, like singing something away is Care Bear staring. I don't care what you say.
And then literally, but they literally reference, I'm pretty sure do they literally reference the Care Bear stare in that book?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
I thought they did.
I think it's because I said it. Like,
maybe it's just been implanted.
Because every time something like that happens, I'm like, so we Care Bear stare the villain, and then it's all over. And like, it drives me nuts because I'm sorry, but like, I'm really tired of plot resolutions being based on Care Bear staring shit. Like the one place it's okay is like, you know, the Care Bears, My Little Pony. Check. Allow me to explain. The Care Bear stare. So like the Care Bears, when they have to do a thing, what they do is they all stand around in like a semicircle or a circle, depending on how many Care Bears there do.
Or a line,
like whatever. They're holding hands and they're like, we are the Care Bears and we love things so hard. Care Bear stare, and their tummies glow and like whoosh, and like they defeat
like the
things
symbol of their tummies go.
Yeah, and they defeat things through the power of love, hope, faith, trust, and a little bit of pixie dust. Care Bear stares. So, examples of Care Bear staring in popular media. I'm sorry, Bae, don't hate me. Harry Potter has a bit of Care Bear stare syndrome because it's like, yeah, they are. I'm sorry.
The Expelliarmuses, how dare you?
Right. Mixed with a little bit of Care Bear staring because it's like, you don't love anything, but I have the power of love and Expelliarmus on my side. Care Bear stare. Care Bear staring. My Little Pony, The Elements of Harmony, Care Bear stare.
That's fine. That's
singing,
fine. My Little Pony, they're the same era.
Yeah, well, singing away a tornado in the Dysisters, Care Bear stare.
Wait, Bae, because I actually just brought up the ebook. Give me a second, because we forgot. Well, I don't know if you forgot, but I forgot.
So, check. I define Care Bear stare. Oh, God.
The Care Bears stand like that, but they're cute little bears with symbols on their belly. Okay?
Yeah.
But also, like, this is how they do it, right? It's love, right? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I love being a girl. Liberty. And I love my grandma Murdy. And I love strawberries. And I love my mother Cora. And then they make them do a thing.
So here's how I define like Care Bear staring in popular media. Let me explain. So like obviously in children's media, it's very obvious. It's when like a bunch of little cartoon characters get around, stand in a circle, and they go, "We have the power of friendship and love," and blah, and then they go ding, and then like light shoots out of their whatever, Care Bear stare. But in adult fiction or like young adult fiction, it's when a bunch of characters are like, "We can't defeat it the normal way." Drop your sword, and then they go, "We have to defeat it through the power of love." If the theme of a book is that like the villain, like you are better at loving things than the villain is, it's probably Care Bear staring, which is why Harry Potter is like Care Bear stare adjacent. And then like even like the redemption arc in the last Star Wars movie, and by the last one I mean like 6. That's Care Bear staring, because how do we actually like win? We tell Dad we love him, and then we Care Bear stare. Like that's if the power of love is overcoming the villain, we're Care Bear staring, and I don't like it. I find it annoying. It's one of those things where like anytime a hero is like, love is gonna conquer the everything, I just get this image of everybody turning into a Care Bear and being like, "Nah,"
Do you remember this illustration from the book?
Oh my god.
He's eating her face.
Not only is the anatomy just questionable, they look 40.
Yeah, they're supposed to be like 17.
What 16-year-old?
Oh, and then there's another one. I know that this was a fan favorite when we first read it. Let me find it again. It's Jeeper.
Oh my god.
Wait, where is he? There he is. So like, check out that dog though. Yeah,
I'm honestly, not anti-Care Bear. I love the Care Bears. I just think that the Care Bears should stay in children's media, okay?
The Care Bears should stay in the Care Bears.
I am of the opinion that you can't love a Cthulhu monster to death. That is my opinion. Which is more or less how they resolve the Alpha and Omega book. They're like, we sing it away because we are people and it is a Cthulhu monster. And it's like...
Sorry. The illustrations in this book are like the best part of it.
They're pretty great.
I know that there was a couple of really creepy ones near the beginning.
The horse. It's amazing.
I think this was like one of our longest streams when we did this.
Oh, it was. It was so long.
And half of it was just laughing at the pictures.
Yeah, like I'm not anti-Care Bear. I just think that like if your adult book ends with a Care Bear stare,
okay.
I don't know. It's honestly, it's clearly a very personal thing for me. It's a very personalized opinion. Like maybe
I will say that there's like I don't know if it's nostalgia. I don't know, but I don't know about what it is now. Because I haven't watched any of the new Care Bears. But like the old school Care Bears Countdown theme song is like one of the best.
No, I love Care Bears. Okay, I do. It's not I'm making it sound like I
no.
Don't
You
love
just
Care
want
Bears.
you want Care Bears to stay in Care Bears.
Yeah, and I just because here's the thing. Last time I tried to Care Bear stare my problems away, it didn't work. And I just have the feeling that like if somebody like broke into my apartment and I was like, I'm going to defeat you with the power of love, they would just shoot me. So I just feel like it's not
both halves of my series end.
And so I just feel like Care Bear staring is not a good solution to adult problems. Is my point, I guess. Because it's a very good thing to like love stuff and to be good at that and to be open and to have an open heart and be open to like love and shit. Like that's amazing. Good for you. But like, you know, I still just think that like a 45 Colt single action army is probably going to get the job done better than Care Bear staring. That's my point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my point.
Your thoughts on gummy bears, babe?
What?
Your thoughts
I
on
like gummy bears. Gummy bears can stay.
Good. Yes. Most things gummy can stay. Not everything gummy, but most things gummy.
Although I would absolutely love to see like World War III end with like a bunch of militaries getting together, holding hands, and just being like, love, always love. And like, when that happens, I take back my comment.
For some reason,
when a single real world problem gets solved with Care Bear staring, I will retract my statements.
I will say, when you were halfway through that sentence, I knew where you were going with it, but my mind went to, I don't know if you ever watched Glee. But there's an episode in
so there were
season 1
like
of Glee.
episodes that Addie forced me to watch, but it was not.
Did she make you watch the single ladies episode?
No, I'm not. I was never a Glee person.
Okay, so because some of the members of the football team are in the Glee club, and they're trying to like, I guess, make the football team and the Glee club be friends. I can't remember the reason, but ultimately they have to try and like the football team has to come and learn the single ladies dance. And they were going to do it at halftime, and like all the guys were like, no, like I guess it was fun, but we're not doing it. And they're losing because they suck, right? Like it's the game. They suck. They're losing. And then they're like, no, it's time. It's our only chance. It's our only chance. So then the whole football team does the single ladies dance in the middle of the football game. That's their play. Like in, you know how in like I guess American football, like when they're like, you know, they're lined up and like someone's got the ball and like the quarterback's like blue 42, and then they do a thing. He's just like ring on it, and everyone's like excuse you, and he's like ring on it, and they're like okay. So instead of like chucking the ball back to doing whatever, like, you know, they all stand up and start doing the single ladies dance, and then they score a touchdown.
Care Bear stare.
Yes.
Like, I just don't like the solution to problems.
Yes.
Sorry.
Rest in peace, Corey and Niall. Not Puck though. Puck can go.
A lot of people from that cast are
Yeah, well, Corey died of a drug overdose. Nia drowned. I can't even remember the guy's actual name, but the guy who played Puck, he committed suicide after being convicted of kiddie porn.
yes.
So,
which honestly makes it like even if I had like a desire to go back and watch it now, I don't want to.
Well, also because like Puck was like the bad boy of the show, that was like, you know, like, so even more so, like, because he's like someone that you're meant to be like, oh, he's hot, and now it's like,
yeah.
But I will say the episode The Quarterback, which is like the Corey Monteith like tribute episode after he died and everything, that was like that was so sad.
Yeah.
Also like his girlfriend on the show.
Yeah, wasn't he actually dating Rachel?
Yeah.
Like in real life.
Yes. So like obviously, well, like when she's singing her tribute song and she's just sobbing through it, like actually all of them sobbing through every scene and everything. Like, you know, they're not actually acting, which I think makes it worse. And like it's just like I don't even think you would ever have to have even watched Glee to watch that episode and just burst into tears.
Yeah, which is just depressing.
Yes. Although sometimes it's cathartic. It was really weird. Like there was a few TV shows that I just really kept on wanting to watch after my dad died, and I would start to watch them. And like first episode, a parent dies, and I'm like, well, that makes sense because like it was cathartic because it was giving me an avenue to do my grievy thing without actually having a full blown breakdown. So I was just like projecting it onto the characters. I'm like, okay, I've cried over that episode now. It can be done, and that was fine. So, so if you're ever needing a good cathartic cry, the quarterback episode of Glee is a good episode for it.
I find that like if you're the type of person that's into stuff like the Vampire Diaries, there's a few like really good cathartic episodes in that.
Yes.
That like honestly they get me every time. And I've seen this show enough times that like the episode will start and I know what episode it is. So like the first, because also especially the earlier seasons of the Vampire Diaries rely so much on like the drowning pop music.
Yeah. 1 second, it was Mark Salling that played Puck. That is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
And so like the first song of those episodes will just start and I'll just like start bawling because I know what's about to happen. And it is very cathartic.
Yeah, I will say though, it's like sometimes we've discussed this before. Like there's like, for example, like there's times where I'll cry if it's just an overwhelming sentence or scene in a book or in a TV show or something. Like, for example, "Not my daughter, you bitch" gets me every time in Harry Potter. Not the movie, just the book. Like every single time Molly yells at Beatrix, "Not my daughter, you bitch," I'm sobbing and I don't know why.
Yeah, there's like really random, like this is actually really weird, but like some like older movies, like, and by older I mean like movies I watched growing up, so not older, because I consider older like 50. Anyways, like some animated movies I watched growing up, like Spirit, for whatever reason, the opening of Spirit with the stupid Matt Damon voiceover and whatever makes me cry. I don't know why. There's no reason.
No.
It's just a cute horse romping around, but it makes me sob. Yeah. There's no good reason for it.
Yeah, well then like the season 3 finale of Buffy when they all take off their graduation robes to fight the mayor and like the whole school, like the whole senior class, then they've got like their stakes and their crosses and this and that. Like Buffy just yells like that, like Mary's transforming into a giant snake. They're all standing up, looking up. The audience knows that there's a plan. We just don't know what the plan is because they did it well. They referenced the plan without actually telling us what it is. So it's a pleasant surprise when it actually occurs. And Buffy just yells out, "Now everyone takes off their graduation robes. They're all armed and they start fighting for their lives." And as soon as Buffy yells "now," I start to sob. I'm actually starting to get a little bit balled up now, thinking about it. Don't know why.
Oh, also another thing is like, here's the thing. I'm just gonna say this now. I don't like the last episode of the Vampire Diaries. I don't. It's a dumb episode.
Yeah.
Will I sob through the whole thing? Yes. It's still a stupid episode, and it still makes me cry. I think part of it is that like they're playing all the old songs from like season 1.
Oh, it is so reminiscent of season 1.
Also, even looking at the episode titles for season 8, like, it gets me. I'm sorry. Because it's all, like, famous, like, one-liners from the show. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, like, the season 8 titles.
No, I haven't actually looked at the titles of...
Hold on. No. I got this.
Okay. Jesus Christ.
Stupid.
Oh, that's another thing I'm actually having to do with my daughter right now because she's going to Catholic school, right?
Yeah.
So, like, we need to start. I mean, I need to start being better about using my Lord's name in vain around her. But like, I'm trying to, like, I can get you in trouble at Catholic school using the Lord's name in vain. It's a thing. And unfortunately, now that she's actually, going to school and stuff, she's being exposed to sass, and I don't appreciate it. But she started to go, "Oh my God," all the time. And I'm just like, no, we say, oh my goodness, or oh my gosh. And she goes, but why? And I'm like, because it's not polite to say, oh my God. And she's like, but you say it. I'm like, but I'm a grown up. And luckily that usually works. Like if I do a swear around her, she's like, Mommy, that's a grown up word. I'm like, well, am I a grown up? And she goes, yes. I'm like, so can I say grown up words? And she goes, yes. And then she apologizes to me for calling me out. I'm like, it's okay, sweetie. I shouldn't be swearing around you.
So the episode titles are Hello, Brother. Today will be different. You decided that I was worth saving. An eternity of misery. Coming home was a mistake. Detoured on some random backwoods path to hell. The next time I hurt somebody, it could be you. We have history together. The simple intimacy of the near touch. Nostalgia's a bitch. You made a choice to be good. What are you? The lies will catch up to you. It's been a hell of a ride. We're planning a dream wedding, and I was feeling epic.
And if that doesn't tell you just how corny as all fuck this show is, the fact that those are just quotes.
They are, and I'm sorry. I love because
like,
every time
I mean,
like
the beginning,
what are you?
Dear diary, today will be different. Today I'll be happy. I'm just like, shut up, Elena. Today you won't have a personality like every other day. I don't like her. Does she have a personality?
You know what? I don't hate Elena that much, to be honest.
I don't hate her. I just don't like her.
I think she suffers what most of the characters suffer from, and that's like the problem with TV a lot of the time is like the uncertainty of like, is there going to be a next season? How do you wrap this up in a tight bow? Like, so you get a lot of soap opera meandering, which doesn't open you up to a lot of like good character development. It doesn't leave a whole lot of room for that. So I think that's really Elena's problem. Like,
I will say, like, a lot of it also, it's not necessarily always her. Like, I mean,
because I've seen the episode a million times. I've seen the show a million times. So I will say, Elena does actually do a lot of interesting things in the show. Like, especially it's more in the earlier seasons, but she does have like a lot of agency, and she does actually make a lot of like decisions. Now it is very soap opera-y because it's so corny, and there is a lot of like back and forth, but she does at least have agency, and like she is like she spends a lot of the times like in the first couple seasons being really mad that everybody is like giving up so much for her, and she's like trying to do the right thing and stuff like that. So she's at least sympathetic in that way. But in a lot of ways also her character is very much stunted by the medium she's stuck in.
Yeah.
Which is another problem that even like Damon and Stefan fall into, like, because Stefan always falls into just being like broody vampire alcoholic, and then Damon almost always circles back around to like being, things went wrong, I'm a bad boy again, and you're like, okay, Damon.
And even Bonnie, like because a lot of people are like, Bonnie's like got so much character development. I'm like, kind of, Bonnie's character throughout the whole thing is I'm going to do whatever it takes to save everyone. And I'm not saying she doesn't have other character development, but Bonnie is not the most developed character in the series. It's Caroline.
Well, Bonnie also goes through a lot of cycles of I'm going to do whatever it takes to save everybody, but then get mad about the consequences.
Yeah.
Even though like, for example, Elena spends a lot of time trying to stop her from doing that, but then Elena gets blamed for it anyway. Like, Elena does actually try to stop Bonnie from doing the things that Bonnie does, even though then Bonnie gets mad at Elena for the consequences of Bonnie's decisions. And it's like, but again, a lot of it's just the medium that they're stuck in.
Yeah. I think Caroline is the most, the character that grew. I think there's a reason why Caroline resonates with everyone. One, because at the beginning she's like that. She's like the classic frenemy, insecure, whatever. Then she becomes a vampire, and she slowly gets more confident and more caring and this and that. But then but then she may have stagnated after that too. But then the actress had to go and get pregnant. Like, fuck, now we need to try and write this in. And they do. And that,
Caroline's development is a lot more linear,
ongoing.
And she's not ever stuck in like a weird cycle. Because the thing is, Caroline, I think what also helps Caroline, ironically, is that because she wasn't a major character. Like, she was, but not really.
She was the frenemy.
She was like the frenemy. You know, you weren't really supposed to like her. And that kind of thing, like in the beginning. So like they had a lot more room to work with her, and they just didn't put her into like these cycles of, well, what do we do with her now? But also she had like a long way to go. So like, you know, with like Elena and Bonnie Elena starts off kind of sad, but also with like, you know, basically sympathetic morals and ethics and stuff like that. So there's not really a lot of places to move her. Bonnie, again, sympathetic morals and ethics in a way. So there's not really a lot to do with her. Caroline doesn't start off that way. So there's a lot of places you can take her. Like Elena becomes more willing to like basically be more Catherine-like, which is interesting, but I don't think they play with it enough. I think they could have played with it more.
Which is a shame. And again, just as Caroline's character could have gotten to the point where she started to become stagnant, the actress got pregnant. Which then, like, 16 and I were actually having a chat recently about like how like the transition from like being, for example, like a single guy to a father is a lot easier for a guy than a woman to a mother. And once you have kids and everything, like so much about how you see yourself, how you view the world, literally everything about your life and how you view everything changes when you become a mom. Not so much when you become a dad. Because I don't know. I don't know how much. Probably maternal instinct for starters. Like maternal instinct is quite a thing.
Well, I think even like as you're physically carrying a child, even the way that like you view like your body.
Yeah, well, like, your body changes during pregnancy.
Yeah, and I think part of what helps you cope with that is just like that it's not about you anymore.
Yeah. Whereas I think a lot of men, once they find a partner or whatever, like, you know, their life is already about making as good a life then with their partner as possible. So then it's just that bubble just gets extended out to include the children. Whereas most women don't typically think about providing for their husbands. I think it's more like that, you know, they might think about contributing to the house and stuff like that, but not necessarily being the provider and protector of a person. And that's what Caroline ends up like. We get to go through that journey with Caroline as well. Like her entire character changes again once she has the twins.
Yeah.
But like she's still herself, but everything about her motivations completely changes once she has the twins. And that's something that none of the other characters also ever deal with on the show. And so I think Caroline got the most opportunity for growth. And I do appreciate that they managed to find a way to have Caroline one thing that annoys me about TV parents is like, how do you afford to never, like, to always have a babysitter at your house? Apparently because you're out every night with your friends every single night. Your social life has not changed. Caroline, while she does manage to still have things, one, they actually address that they've got a nanny. I'm pretty sure that happened, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But then also, she's also still a lot more of an active parent than most TV parents are.
Yeah.
TV parents are awful parents. Like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, but as soon as like a main character has kids, you never see the children.
Yeah.
They're just always out. And I'm like, how are you out at a bar every night of the week when you have a kid at home? How do you afford it? You're telling me how broke you are. You're drinking $15 cocktails with a babysitter at home every night.
Anyway, I need to go, and
Yes. You got plans.
I got stuff to do. A grumpy boyfriend to go wake up.
Yeah. Yeah, so are we gonna do
we will probably just do Morganville before we do anything else.
Yeah, because
of reasons.
Yes, makes sense.
But yeah, so with that, we'll probably do that like next week or this week or something. But
We'll work it out.
we will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.